You know, in American manufacturing, fortunes are won and lost right there on the factory floor. But what if I told you the single most important decision, the one that can literally make or break an entire company, happens way before the first machine even hums to life?
What if it all boils down to one single choice? A decision that dictates everything, from how a tool is designed to the daily grind of a machinist, all the way to the financial survival of the business itself. Well, today we're digging into that very choice.
So here's the plan. We're going to follow the life of raw steel, starting with this fundamental choice. Do you want to be the architect or the consumer? Then we'll see how that one decision splits into two totally different roads, changing the game for designers and the crew on the shop floor. After that, we'll get into the real price of steel and wrap it all up with the strategic balancing act that defines modern manufacturing.
Okay, it all starts right here. And this isn't just about ordering some material. It's about picking a philosophy. Are you going to command your materials from the very beginning, or are you going to let your materials command you? Let's break it down like this. With a mill order, you're basically the architect. You're commissioning a custom-built engine, and you get to specify every single component right down to the steel's DNA. But with a spot buy, you're the consumer. You're walking into a parts store and choosing the best engine you can find on the shelf. Both get you an engine, sure, but the process and, more importantly, the results are just worlds apart.
So a mill order. This is your ticket to ultimate control. You're going straight to the source, the steel mill, and you're placing a huge order. The payoff for that volume is you get to write the recipe for the steel itself. You control its chemistry, its strength, its exact thickness. You are literally the architect of your material.
And on the flip side, you've got the spot buy. This is all about speed and flexibility. You need steel tomorrow? No problem. You call a service center, which is basically a giant warehouse for metal, and they sell you what they've got in stock. It's super fast, it's convenient, but you give up that power to define the material. You're a consumer picking from whatever's available.
All right, let's see what this actually looks like in the real world. Because these two choices, they create entirely different supply chains, two completely distinct journeys for that steel before it even gets to your factory doors.
The mill order path, well, that's a direct superhighway. The steel is made to your exact specs at the mill, and it's shipped straight to you. It's clean, it's direct, it's perfectly traceable. The spot buy path is, let's call it a winding country road. The mill makes some generic steel, sends it to a service center, who then might cut it or slit it and then sends it to you. That one extra stop, that makes all the difference.
Now this is where it gets really interesting, because this chart just lays the trade-offs bare. Just look at the lead time. We're talking 8 to 20 weeks for a mill order versus 24 to 48 hours for a spot buy. Crazy, right? But then look at specification authority. With a mill order, it's high, you're the boss. With a spot buy, it's low, you get what you get. It's the ultimate trade-off, time versus control.
So how does this one decision ripple all the way down to the people doing the work? Let's start with the tooling designer. This is the person creating the die that's going to shape this steel. Their entire approach, their whole philosophy, has to change based on that one initial purchase order.
All right, let me paint you a picture. We'll call this the minimum spec trap. Your customer orders a part, and it has to be made from grade 50 steel. The key requirement, the one thing on the print, is that the steel has to have a minimum yield strength of 50,000 psi. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it?
So you place a spot buy order for grade 50. The steel arrives, and the certification that comes with it shows its yield strength is 85,000 psi. Now hold on a second. 85,000 is way, way more than the 50,000 minimum. You got steel that's much stronger than you asked for. That's good news, right?
So, I'll ask you, is this a problem? You received material that is, by the numbers, significantly better than what the spec called for. Is this a win for the factory, or is something about to go really, really wrong?
And boom, there's the trap. In a stamping plant, better is actually worse. That much stronger steel is going to spring back way more than the tool was designed for, which means you're making bad parts. But even worse, it could require so much force to form that you might overload the press or literally cause the multi-ton steel die to explode. A catastrophic failure, all because the steel was too good.
Okay, let's head out onto the shop floor and see how this plays out for the people who have to deal with this steel every single day. The quality control team and the tool and die makers. For them, this isn't some theoretical problem. It's a daily fight.
You know, this really comes down to one word: trust. With a mill order, that test report you get is a perfect passport for the steel. The data is pristine, you know exactly what you have. But with a spot buy,
that report can be totally obsolete. The service center might have processed the steel in a way that changes its properties. The paperwork you're holding no longer reflects reality. You're basically flying blind.
When you have that consistent, predictable material from a mill, your maintenance world is, well, it's calm, it's predictable. Tool wear happens at a nice, steady, linear rate. You can schedule maintenance with incredible precision. After 50,000 parts, we sharpen the punch. Simple. It's a well-oiled machine.
But with that variable spot buy material, your world is just chaos. One coil of steel is soft, the next is hard as a rock. A tool that was supposed to last for 100,000 hits might suddenly fail after just 10,000. You're not doing maintenance anymore, you're firefighting. It's just a constant cycle of emergency repairs and expensive, unplanned downtime.
All right, let's zoom back out and look at this from the buyer's perspective. Because this isn't just a technical decision, it's a massive financial one. And I'm telling you, the price you see on the invoice is almost never the true price you pay for the steel.
So here's the hidden cost of all that control. To get that perfect custom-made steel from the mill, you have to buy a ton of it. And all that inventory just sitting on your floor, it costs you money every single day. You've got the cost of capital, the warehousing, insurance. It all adds up to an extra 15 to 30% of the steel's value per year. That's huge.
In this slide, this just shows the trade-off in its starkest form. The difference in speed is just jaw-dropping. With a spot buy, you can get material in a day or two, which gives you incredible agility. With a mill order, you have to be able to predict your needs months in advance. One offers total control, the other offers incredible speed. You really can't have both.
So, after seeing all this, you might be thinking the choice is obvious, one way or the other. But here's the thing. The smartest manufacturers know it's not about just picking one path and sticking to it. It's about knowing when to use each one. It's a strategic balancing act.
This table really pulls it all together. You can see how the decision cascades down. For the buyer, it's a choice between cash flow and cost certainty. For the designer, it's designing for perfect optimization versus designing for robustness. For quality control, it's process assurance versus just relying on inspection. And for the maker on the floor, it's the difference between planned maintenance and constant unplanned chaos. Every choice creates a consequence for someone else down the line.
Which brings us right back to the final question. There is no single right answer here. It's a constant tension between having absolute control over your material and having logistical flexibility. So, I'll leave you with this. If you were in charge, if you were running the factory and you had to make the call, which would you bet your business on? Control or flexibility?